Listener, before we start the show, just want to again reiterate the fact that for the month of August, we need your help to get this show in front of more people. Because we know that you enjoy this, and it's time that we share it with a friend. So there's 3 things I need you to do. Number 1, make sure you're subscribed to the show. Get an episode every single week for free in your favorite podcasting app. Number 2, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Tell us what you love about this show, and more importantly, how can we make it better? Number 3, share the show with a friend, because we know that sharing is the ultimate internet currency, and it's important to spread the word. So, with that in mind, do those 3 things, get this show in front of more people, and it will mean the world to us. So without further ado, Jimmy, roll the thing.
That kind of nerd. Let's start the show with comics, movies, and technology. Here we go, bringing you the segments that you're looking for, like Cape Talk, Screen to Stream, Tech Perspective, and more. Cast this nerd degree and the blockbuster. Welcome to the club, 'cause you're that kind of nerd.
Welcome everyone to That Kind of Nerds podcast, a weekly show that tells you what is going on in the nerdy world. I am CJ Mellon, joined by the one and only Brian Thornton.
Hello.
As you know, last week Josh was on a mission to go ahead and tear down the set of that Netflix original series that is drag racing, but with an obstacle course. But on his way to the Netflix headquarters, he actually ran into Jonathan from Queer Eye, and they're having a wonderful week together, so he will not be here today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
He was there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm getting zhuzhed, and I'm getting my beard trimmed." He's getting a.
You think Josh would do the little twirly mustache as Jonathan's going on now?
My real question is, will Josh do a French tuck like Tan suggests?
Oh, I live and die by the French tuck now.
I don't
I'm
think
very
it works
much
for
a fan of
everybody,
the French
and I
tuck.
don't think it works for every outfit. Tan's like, let's just French tuck. And if you don't understand this conversation and you're not watching Queer Eye on Netflix, first off, how dare you? Secondly, go watch it, please.
My favorite's Anthony, just because I wish I could cook. Plus, he's a wonderful person.
So, listeners, let's start off this episode with Brian's favorite topic, where we talk about the world of comics, see how it's affecting TV, see how it's affecting movies. But really, guys, this week, it's really affecting Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Cape Talk.
Cape Talk.
Titans Season 2 dropped a trailer.
Oh, yes.
Now, Brian, I am hearing...
Yes, CJ.
I am hearing things like Superboy, Deathstroke, and a whole bunch of new characters like Aqualad as well.
I think I saw Flash, like Kid Flash in
Tell
there.
me more. Explain this.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
While I watch it.
It's a teaser, but it looks amazing. Oh, you haven't even watched it yet. Way to prepare.
I kind of forgot
dickhead.
that this trailer...
I prepared. I watched my shit.
I forgot that this trailer existed. Do you want to give me a minute and then I watch
I
it?
would love to give you a minute so we can discuss together.
You're holding for trailers, and we'll be right back through the magic of editing. Oh my gosh, we're done. So, talk to me.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, CJ, I know you didn't see the first season of Titans.
I did not.
Not for any lack of desire, but for the fact that you are not in the elite club of DC Universe subscribers.
A little bit of desire.
I know, because you're a dick. Anyway,
But hold on, wait. Let me say something to that. Watching this trailer
makes you want to watch the first season.
I want to watch the show. The first couple of trailers did not sell the show to me.
That first season is extremely good, and Josh didn't do it any favors by saying he got checked out after like episode 2, but the show is the show that needs 3 or 4 episodes to establish some characters, because you're working with an entire group of them to really get the ball rolling. This show got really freaking good, especially towards the end. But it also introduced some other characters outside the 5 Titans that are the main focus. You had Hawk and Dove. There was an appearance from Donna Troy, who was one of the Wonder Girls. The Doom Patrol obviously got a little backdoor pilot in this series. And it looks like in this season, they're going to just do even more of that. Yeah. The crazy thing about season 1 is they ended it on a cliffhanger, which is pretty ballsy considering it was your first season.
Right. Of a new streaming service that
first season, premiering a new streaming service, completely new show. And they're like, yeah, you know what? This is going to be good enough. We're going to end it on a cliffhanger. So I've been waiting for season 2. I'm super excited. And hopefully, they'll pick it up right from where they left off. And kind of give me some insight into what happened at the end there. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but the stuff that's happening is pretty intense. The big bad has finally kind of shown himself, and I have a feeling that that's going to be a theme throughout season 2. But then, like, seeing this show and seeing, like, Superboy and, like, even, like, freaking Crypto, I was like, oh my God, it's Crypto, the super dog.
The super dog? Really? All right.
Yeah, Superman's got a dog called Crypto.
Oh, I'm well aware.
And then just that last scene of Deathstroke. Deathstroke has always been a huge major baddie for the Titans.
Yes.
And I am so excited to kind of see him square off against them and probably kick their ass the first couple times. It should be really good. Anywho, your thoughts?
Yeah, the first season to me really was advertised by their stupid line of fuck Batman, right? And it really seemed to just have that fuck this CW shit and fuck everything you know. This is fucking Titans. And you're just like, all right, like ease up on the Code Red Mountain Dew and tell me your story. But it just seemed to be so hyped on that. I was like, I can't get into that. Now, you're not the only person to tell me that's not what the whole season's like. Just like deal with that little machismo for a little bit. But seeing this, I kind of now see a little bit more of the relationship between these people, and the characters are doing some good work. I'm like some of the stars I was seeing. Nice to see Jorah Mormont showing up playing. I think, who is he playing? Alfred?
He looks like he's playing Alfred.
It looks like he's playing Alfred. I thought he was rumored to play
like
Batman of something or another, wasn't he? Whatever. I don't remember what the rumor was.
No.
But
I'm pretty sure he's playing Alfred.
Color me in way more intrigued than I ever have been for this. And I will probably watch Titan season 1, and then I'll start season 2 before you get to some of your shows on your list.
Oh well, that probably makes sense. And I got news for you: when this drops, this takes priority over all the other shows on my list.
Of course it does.
But I will say this, CJ, it is out on Blu-ray if you're interested in watching the first season.
Well, let me ask you this: there was a ton of characters teased in that trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Was there one that stood out to you who asked, really, we're going to see that on this show?
I mean, it looked like they had a version of The Flash. It looked like they had a version of Wally, which, I mean, is great. Also completely ruins any chance of them crossing over with Berlanti.
Well, I don't think it does, because we've obviously established Elseworlds and other dimensions and shit.
Clearly, like in the Berlanti-verse, we've established multiple dimensions and stuff.
Well, because they went out of their way to make sure Supergirl was not in the same universe as the Flash and Arrow.
Yeah, the only reason they did that though is because it premiered on CBS, and then it came over to CW anyway.
Like this premiered maybe on a streaming service. Like I would not put this out of the realm of impossible. It would just be a little more convoluted in order to do so.
Yeah. But yeah, I know.
But listen, with the amount of stuff and the amount of people that they're bringing in for the new DC crossover event, which is like anyone who's ever been loosely associated with DC, even voice actors,
Don't you besmirch that news. That's amazing news.
I would never dare rob Kevin Conroy.
That is amazing news that Kevin Conroy is going to be in this crossover. Yes.
I don't mean to take away from that at all.
He's going to be like, you know what would be even cooler? Oh my God. If he's going to play older.
He is.
But if they had Terry McGinnis with him.
Yes. If we had
I would lose
Batman
my
Beyond happening,
fracking mind.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it happens. Who knows?
If it happens,
I'll probably hear you from your home going, squeak!
Fill in the blank. Like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
The things I will do and say.
Let us now turn our attention to the world of TV and movies in a segment that we call Screen to Stream. Listen, this is some streaming news, okay? As we know, Disney
it's Screen
Plus
to Stream, I would hope so.
I agree. Disney Plus was announced earlier this year. Disney is saying, hey, we're going to take on Netflix. The pricing's really aggressive. Like $7 a month for all of Disney, Plus stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah,
but Disney, being the conglomerate monopoly thing that they are, they decided that they have announced a bundle of Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus for just $12.99. That's less than Netflix, and you're getting 3 streaming services. This is a big middle finger to Netflix, I'll tell you that.
It's a big middle finger to a lot of streaming hopefuls.
Yeah.
More importantly, like, listeners.
Listen.
You all know how intensely into sports I am. And I
Sports!
gotta have them. I gotta watch the newest flying bird of some cray
or the Peyton Manning show where he goes around and does State Farm ads in people's homes.
I really enjoy that show where he signs up people for the nationwides.
Is he Oh, he is nationwide.
It's nationwide.
Oh, my apologies.
Chicken parm, you taste so good.
Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Like this a price like this, $13 for all the Disney content, for all the Hulu content, original Hulu stuff, plus the new episodes of things as they air, and ESPN. Like this is a no-brainer. Even if you're not like me and you don't want any of the sports at all, it's worth it just for Disney and Hulu.
Yeah, it's a really good value. The caveat, the monkey wrench I'll throw into this is that the Hulu that's being offered for this is ad supported. So it's not the ad free Hulu, which I think is the far superior of all the Hulus.
Yes. Obviously I want no ads, but I'll throw this back at you.
Throw it.
If they release a second tier with adless Hulu for $20.
Oh yeah, or even if it's just for $4 more, like go ahead and
Even
don't
if
pay
it was
the
20,
ads.
I'd pay 20 for adless Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN bundle. It's still a great value.
Oh no, listen, like, there's no doubt that this is something I'm looking at and going, probably gonna pay for this.
I'm curious how it'll work for us Hulu subscribers already. How we can just kind of, how you can just add on things with Showtime. I wonder if they're gonna do that.
I know what you're talking about.
I wonder if you'll be able to just do that, be like, not change anything about your Hulu subscription, just add on the Disney Plus. I'm
not sure. I mean, if you just look at seriously, just talking about the value of this, the Hulu with ads is about $6 a month, right? And ESPN Plus costs $5 a month.
That's 11 right there.
That's 11 right there. So sit through a few ads, but get all of Disney for the $1. It's really, and with HBO Max being rooming around $16 or $17 a month, that's again, this is a more compelling argument to say come over here, because I honestly believe that Disney is going to make Hulu a little more HBO-esque, where they're going to put some of the riskier rated R-ish or more adult content on Hulu.
That theory sounds so familiar.
Right? You said that very much.
Where have I heard that?
But do you know what's not going to be on Hulu there, Brian? You're not going to get your Daredevil and your Jessica Jones and your Punisher on the Hulus.
That's okay. It's all right. You know what? In due time, I will be proven right as per usual.
And we don't know what Apple is going to cost, but I'll just say this from a core cruncher's perspective, this is really great for 3 services. And if you had to, at this point, if you're going, oh, well, I won't pay for one, or if I had to cut something from my cord cutting package, you're cutting something that isn't one of these 3. So it's a super aggressive.
Apple doesn't have the IP to draw anybody in at this point, honestly. And it's all Disney, and Netflix has got some really strong IPs too. And just because they were first and you've had your Netflix account for 10 years now, I doubt a lot of people are going to just start hitting the cancel button on that. I think HBO Max and Apple are in trouble.
I think they're gonna have a real failure to launch. The thing that they're trying to say, right, that Bob Iger said on an earnings call, was that Disney is expecting to get about 20% of what Netflix is right now in their first year of Disney Plus subscribers. They want to grow Disney Plus aggressively, and putting this in a bundle of $12.99, you've done it.
Yeah, I believe that full-heartedly.
Leave it on to the next topic. The reason all of this is being so aggressive, and while Disney Plus it needs to work out for Disney, is because they just had an earnings call and things didn't go well for Disney this quarter, and that's because they all blamed it on Fox and X-Men: The Dark Phoenix.
I don't think they need to blame it on
but they
Fox.
did, though. But they did, Brian.
I don't know. No. I think it's obvious it's because of Fox.
Right.
It's obvious because they shelled out a ton of money to get these IPs that they haven't done anything with yet. Right. And the things that they have done with it, which is pretty much just release shit that was already in the can, like X-Men: Dark Phoenix, took huge losses.
Yeah.
To the tune of $200 million. So I'm not surprised. It makes sense that Fox would be the reason. Now, if they get some shit started real quick, their Q1 and Q2 earnings next year probably go through the roof. But
So
you're talking about in a quarter where they released the biggest grossing movie of all time,
right. So
and they still suffered a loss. Fox definitely had something to do with that.
So here again, we're not stock experts or market analysts or anything like
Speak
that.
for yourself.
On the earnings call, though, Iger, and I'm sorry I'm saying the earnings call. Just hold on. There's good stuff coming ahead. I promise you. Bob Iger said, "Hey, don't expect your Disney stock next year to be as good as Disney stock this year because we don't have enough for Disney Plus. Because out of the 24, 23 Marvel movies, like only 17 of them are coming to Disney Plus because the other rights for other movies are still with other people, like Epics." And with other providers and HBO, so like they're not going to have all of it right away. But here's the thing that they did say, because they have some of these Fox properties, it's going to give them, quote, the ability to reimagine such beloved franchises as, and he name dropped these, Home Alone, Night at the Museum, Cheaper by the Dozen, and a live-action Diary of a Wimpy Kid. To which everyone said, please, don't reboot Home Alone. Don't do that.
Those are the franchises he picked. First and foremost,
those are the ones he picked.
First and foremost, Home Alone is fine for a reboot.
Did you?
It is not sacred in any way.
I agree. Did you see the picture that Macaulay Culkin posted as to what a modern Home Alone would look like today? Because it was hilarious. It's him just sitting there, the shirt kind of open a little bit, and just sitting there vegging, playing on the computer. I
did not, and do I care? No one needs to see this. This is no. I do appreciate the N64 controller at his foot, but no, I'm good.
So listen, you're right. He mentioned a couple things. I agree. Home Alone isn't sacred. There were other attempts at it before.
There was a straight to DVD and straight to Disney Channel attempts, which I'm told were actually enjoyable.
So, all right, Cheaper by the Dozen. Believe me, nobody holds that in high regard. Or
can you imagine? You know what jumped out at me? Can you imagine a Disney remake of Night at the Museum?
That'd be great.
That would be great, right? That's awesome.
Obviously, I'll miss it a little bit without Robin Williams, but like, I'd be good for a series for that. That's the other part. Yeah. Like when he was talking about these reimaginings of Home Alone and Cheaper by the Dozen and all that stuff. I mean, think Disney Plus as a series. Don't think of it as a movie. And I think that kind of lends itself to that. I think it'd be fine for that.
I'm not so sure Home Alone does. Cheaper by the Dozen and Night at the Museum definitely do.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure Home Alone does. How many times can you leave your kid home alone? Yeah, and for how long?
Be a latchkey
Is
kid.
It going to be like 24? Do you live with Kevin McAllister for like hour by hour? That would be interesting.
Gosh, ladies and gentlemen, hire Brian Thornton.
Just like every episode, you have the
right,
like the clock,
right,
like that.
But it's an Alexa reading out you the time.
Oh yeah.
The time is 12 o'clock. So
that'd be interesting.
Look, I'm okay.
And then you'd have an entire episode of him just preparing his Lego death trap.
Right.
Like, nothing would happen that episode. He would just be laying down Legos.
So besides talking about these reimaginings, they really just said, hey, listen, we are scrapping pretty much everything that was in Fox's pipeline that isn't ready for being aired. Like we are done. We're also ready for some other movies to not do well. Like, he was kind of talking about the marketing costs of Ford versus Ferrari. Just saying, like, hey, like, this is a high-budget movie, and I honestly...
That movie was never going to make its money back.
Right, but it's like, I honestly don't see it making any money. So, like, thanks a lot, Fox. And
I think it'll make money, but it's never going to make its money back, unfortunately, because the movie itself looks great.
So here were
but it's not what brings people into theaters.
Yes. Here was the two franchises. There's two franchises in the movie realm that Bob Iger singled out as Disney is going to continue these movies. Okay? They're basically why they bought Fox for some reasons.
Oh, that and the X-Men characters.
Right, yes. James Cameron Avatar, which, again, yeah, they built a whole freaking world on it, right? And then, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I thought we were done with Planet of the Apes. Did we not end?
Did you actually watch Planet of the Apes?
But
then you obviously don't know anything. You know nothing, John.
Did we end it?
No.
Because no new film has been announced since the end of 2017.
We ended a story in the Planet of the Apes universe. We did not end it. That movie is still, even though it has a lot of really cool things that call back to the original Charlton Heston movie, we're not like at there yet. There's still a lot of story that can be told. And I'm okay with that. I love those new Planet of the Apes movies. And I love the original Planet of the Apes movies. And I hate Avatar, so fuck that.
They also said that they're going to, this is great, they're going to install somebody within Fox that is responsible for quality and content. Quality and content moderation. They're going to make sure that it's quote unquote like good enough before they greenlight it or produce it or even release it. Someone's going to sit there, look at everything they're doing and be like, hi, real quick. You just mentioned that is drag racing, but you are street racing, but you're putting obstacle courses on there? I'm sorry. People don't do that. So no, I'm not going to let you make it. It's someone's job to go into Fox and be like, I know you probably do this as a collective, but has anyone ever asked you, should you make this? Because you shouldn't.
So someone's going to be the Ian Malcolm.
Yes.
You were so worried about whether or not you could, you didn't bother to ask if you should.
Right, absolutely.
I got you.
My only hope is that Disney kind of lets Fox just do a little bit of the weird stuff, some of the originals, some of the stuff that isn't a franchise, some of the stuff that's just one-off stories, and just let them do what they need to do.
I'm sure they'll let some weird and experimental shit go out there, but
they're still letting
what they won't
go.
What they won't let happen is if a movie has the name Alien on it, they're going to make sure this has got to be up to snuff, because the past 3 Alien movies have sucked ass. That's the kind of shit they're looking at.
Well, that's true. They also blamed Alien vs. Predator for some bad performances.
Yeah, well, Alien Covenant was better than Prometheus, but disappointing. Prometheus was garbage. Both Alien vs. Predator movies were laughable, but the first one was least enjoyable. The last Predator movie was garbage. Predators was okay, but no one ever saw it. Like that, I think that's the point. I think they're still gonna let's let Fox do all of our fringe stuff. If it's a new idea, sure, we'll let it happen. But if it's something like that is an established brand that Disney is now going to be releasing, that is expected to bring in a certain crowd and make a ton of money, yeah, I'd want quality assurance on that too, because Fox clearly doesn't know what the fuck it's doing.
The other thing that the other thing that people made a mountain out of a molehill for, I just want to say, stop overreacting, was they were like, well, what about Deadpool? And it's like we're evaluating Deadpool right now. It's like, we're evaluating the rating. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're not going to put the Mickey Mouse towers in front of Deadpool. Like, we get that. Thank you. It's fine. And I know you were maybe trying to do a little test with this PG-13 re-release in December, but like, ease up, people. People are like, oh no, Deadpool is going to be PG-13. I was like, they did not say that. Calm your shit and just let it happen. Let's see what happens, okay? Just ease up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now listen, we already talked a little bit about some nostalgia with some of those topics, so I figured I'd just dive headfirst into some of my nostalgia. There was they call it a trailer. Guys, this is a teaser. It's like 15 seconds.
It's a TV spot.
Yeah. Of Are You Afraid of the Dark? The reboot coming at 2019 on Nickelodeon. If you were not a fan of Are You Afraid of the Dark, maybe you just didn't watch it or didn't catch your didn't catch your imagination. If you liked Goosebumps, you'll like this. It starts off with a bunch of kids standing by a campfire, and I submit this story to the Midnight Society. They throw some stuff in a fire, big sparks. You tell a story, boom, you get this like little mini horror story that shows up on your screen. But it's Nickelodeon, so like it's scary, but like you can go to bed afterwards. You won't have nightmares. I am excited for this. I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark? I realize I'm probably the only one of us right now talking about this that actually cares.
Yeah, I didn't watch this, bro.
Of course you don't. See, my wife never had Nickelodeon.
I had Nickelodeon. I just didn't watch Are You Afraid of the Dark?
My wife did not.
My wife!
Thank you. Did not have Nickelodeon growing up. So when I try to talk to her about the Rugrats or Hey Arnold or Rocko's Modern Life or Are You Afraid of the Dark or Salute Your Shorts, she's like, I don't know what any of that is.
See, I watched I remember watching an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark. As a kid, I was never big into volunteering to be scared.
But as an adult, you are now.
As an adult, I've gotten way more into horror. But as a kid, I was not that way. So I don't have any. My point is, I don't have any nostalgic feels for this. And now I'm an adult. I can watch adult horror shit.
But I still think there's some value to this. I don't think it's soulless.
No,
or
I'm not
toothless.
saying it's garbage by any means. I'm just saying I don't have the attachment to it that you do.
I'm gonna tell you something, listener. I'm gonna give you an idea of a show, and then I may hurt your feelings a little bit. In the world of Jason Bourne, there was a project called Treadstone. People were given abilities and training, and unaware of the fact that they had this training until one day they are activated, and now they become elite secret agents with incredible skills. Sounds pretty good, right? We saw those Bourne movies. They were pretty awesome. How would you like to see that as a limited TV series? Sounds pretty awesome, you say. What network is it going to be on, you say? And then I have the pleasure of telling you it's going to be on USA. You know, they're just welcome.
I have mixed feelings about this show because it's on USA. Like, USA, here's the thing. I really like the concept of the show.
Me too.
I really like Jason Bourne. I know Mark Bernardin, who was on Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith, was in the writer's room for the show, which makes me think there's something to this. He also wrote for, what is the Stephen King show on Hulu?
Castle Rock?
Yes, Castle Rock. Thank you.
Thank
Castle
you.
Rock.
And the Glaven.
He also was in the writer's room for Castle Rock, which is also a very good show. My point is, I have really high hopes for this show, this concept. We always knew there was more agents. There was a bigger conspiracy as per Bourne Ultimatum and Bourne Legacy.
Right.
I've always enjoyed this series. And I don't think USA is a crap network. I just think USA is the forgotten network. I think USA does a lot of really good shows.
Yes.
Like, I hear Suits is amazing.
I like Suits.
You know who hasn't actually watched Suits?
90% of America. Yeah. you went lower. I know the real fan base for Suits. It's low.
Like, I hear Suits is fantastic.
Well, the same thing with like Burn Notice, and the same thing with Covert Affairs, Psych.
Burn Notice. I've watched the whole first season of Burn Notice and Covert Affairs, and then completely forgotten about them. Like, that's the thing.
Besides Suits, I can't, and I am a big fan of Suits. I like Suits, but I don't know the other shows that were on the network during that time. I watched one show that I happened to like, and then I was gone. I wasn't watching the rest of it, except for some.
I think it has something. I mean, their model is a little bit genius, but I think it also hurts them at the same time because a lot of their shows air when the major networks are off their season.
Right, yes.
Like during holiday break, during the summer, that's when USA airs their stuff, which is great because, you know, you've diminished your competition by like 80%.
Royal Pains. Great show. Sorry, I'm just thinking of the
Royal
USA
Pains
shows
was on
now.
USA. No,
Very
you're
good,
right. You're
very
right.
good
Like,
show.
Here's the thing. You keep thinking of shows that were really good.
Yes.
But they're always like, they're just kind of forgettable sometimes.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's USA's fault. I don't know if that's those shows themselves' fault.
Right.
But like, they're always good. They're always successful. They always last for several seasons. And then like, we're sitting here struggling trying to think of more than 5 USA shows. It's crazy. And that's what I'm worried about for this show. I think it could be a really great show. I was expecting like an Amazon original or something like that. And if that were the case, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah. This would
I feel like it being on cable is also going to kind of tone it down in ways that I wouldn't want it toned down. Mainly in like the violence factor. Like I don't need to see like heads exploding, but there's not going to be as much of it.
Well, I mean, there really wasn't a ton in the Bourne stuff. It was a lot of just close action combat and then a
Yeah, it's close action combat. It's a spy thriller, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I definitely want to give it a shot. But here's the thing: like, it's going to air on USA. I have no idea when that is, and I'm probably going to forget.
It's in October. I mean, it's in October during USA. And just like you said, that's the slow months for everybody else. It's also a mini series. Like, it's a limited engagement event. I don't know how many episodes they're going to be.
The thing about it is there is a reason that the major networks don't air during these times. It's because people are not sitting around watching television or sitting, waiting to see what is on their DVR. Like, we're talking October where holiday season starts ramping up. You're talking about, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then we're talking about the summer where obviously people are going out and going to the beach and the pool and not staying inside watching TV. There's a reason they do that, and that's why a lot of these shows kind of get lost in the sauce and forgotten for a bit.
So
I don't know.
I don't know. A little research while we're doing so real time follow up. It is a 10 episode series. Just 10.
Right, but it could be picked up for a second season.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is this is not something that's there to fill a full slot. Like
it is legit going to air between the months of October to middle of January, and then be done. And then if people liked it, they'll bring it back for a full order
right
next season, next year.
So
But
October 2019, we'll have 10 episodes of this. I like the Bourne world. I like it a lot. I was hoping that we would get more after, Jeremy Renner's run for it, but okay, like I'll be interested in Dreadstone.
We got one more.
I know, but
I enjoy the Jason. I enjoy Jason Bourne.
Yeah,
I enjoy all the Bourne.
It was fine.
I even enjoy the Bourne Legacy.
It was definitely fine. I just wanted more, and I liked the story that wasn't Jason Bourne. I thought they had something there, so I'm interested. This next topic is kind of a longer conversation and a little bit of the world of movies. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a few weeks ago. I understand Brian hasn't. That's fine. But something that I thought I had during the movie, one of the things that I was wrestling with my rating for this movie, if you look at my Instagram or anything like that, was it's long. You could have cut 30 minutes out of this movie, and I would have been happier, or I would have just been more entertained while I'm in the theater. Just thinking, Jesus, this is really long. And then we look at a movie like Endgame with a 3-hour runtime. And people having to strategically think about when they're going to pee or not peeing at all. So I found an article online, actually written by a friend that I've been on his podcast, Will Ashton, and he said, "Hey Hollywood, I think maybe we should bring back the intermission on longer movies." And I was like, "Oh, that's a thought," because the last time I ever saw a movie that had an intermission was Lord of the Rings. Two Towers?
You're showing Lord of the Rings Two Towers had an intermission?
It had an intermission.
Mine did not.
And I remember that was a long-ass movie, and I got to refresh my popcorn, refresh my soda, and, chat with some friends about what was going on, and then we went back into the show. But that was, in high school, and it was, a one-off experience. So I'm curious to get your perspective on this, Brian, because I also have feelings from a different part of my life.
I saw a 70 millimeter projection screening of The Hateful Eight.
Yes.
When it first released, and that had an intermission.
And that was also longer than the normal theatrical release, wasn't it?
It was also, I forget, it was an extra, 20 minutes longer, 15 minutes longer, or something like that?
It was 20 minutes.
So, yeah, it was longer. I don't know. Because here's the thing. You had intermissions during movies back in the days because the movies were like an event. You planned it out. You got you got dressed up and you went to the movies, and it was going to be several hours of your life. And since then, we have not made movies that important anymore. And now in the days of streaming and VOD and digital, and I can pull up a movie on my phone wherever I am, they're not that as special as they used to be. I wish they were. I love movies. So my point is this, I believe adding intermission, even for the longer movies, even if it's a 20 minute intermission, you add that onto a movie like Endgame. Now we're talking almost 4 hours that you're spending. That's legitimately a third of the time that you're awake, that you're going to be at a movie theater.
Right.
And I think that would actually hurt the movie industry even more than the theater industry is hurting as it is. The movie industry isn't really hurting, but the theater industry is. I don't think this would be helpful in any way, with the exception of the 5 people who think it would be fine because they need to go pee or refresh their popcorn. I'm not on board with it. The intermission I experienced at Hateful Eight didn't do anything for me, except, it's like an old-timey movie. That was it.
The other thing I feel about this is something that the theater that you and I used to frequent very, very often, the AMC, they had a mobile concession stand for a brief period of time.
Yeah, they used to leave it at the front of the theater.
They used it at the front of the theater 20 minutes before the movie started. Just like, hey, do you want gummy worms? Do you want Sour Patch Kids? Like, do you want some of the snacks that maybe like you didn't get when you were in line, but now that you're in here, I know you saw someone else with Sour Patch Kids.
You don't want to go out and wait online again,
right? They had something there. And then I'm looking at a movie like It Chapter 2, which announced that it's going to have a 2-hour, 45-minute runtime.
Yes, I'm excited for that.
That is a lot of movie. And now
I'm good with it.
I will argue with you.
Bring it.
I will argue with you with one point with you. I'll disagree with one point. You said back in the day, movies, big event, you used to plan your whole day around it, right? And then you would go out to the movies. And absolutely, when there was no air conditioning in the world and the movies had air conditioning, you planned, right? It's a big to-do. But when you're looking at Avengers Endgame, when you're looking at, It Chapter 2, when I was looking at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I had to plan my day. I had to plan what I was doing before and after that accordingly. And not just because I have kids, but because, just like you said, it's a pretty big chunk of time. So I got to say, okay, are we going to dinner before? Wait, hold on. Are we going to dinner before or are we going to dinner after? It's like 4 o'clock when the movie starts, so we would have to eat lunch around like 3. I don't want to eat dinner or lunch at 3 because then I'm late. It would have been nice if I had 20 minutes in there, go to the movie theater, buy some kind of food, help the movie theater by buying something, right? And help the actual theater with a high margin item. And yeah, maybe I put 20 minutes extra onto my runtime, but dinner is now smack in the middle where it should be for me.
I don't think en masse you think like that. I don't think en masse anybody would do that. I think people would use the intermission to pee, refresh their popcorn and stuff like that because you don't eat real. Like, here's the thing. Like, I think having an intermission and just saying for you to look at a movie theater time and say the show starts at 7. With intermission, I'm not getting out until 11:30. That's going to seriously affect my decision of even going to the movie to begin with. I think it keeps more people away. So even if you have that 5 or 6 people who buy that food, that high margin item, I have turned already like twice that many people away from even buying a ticket because I just added more of a runtime to the movie than was initially in there.
The thing I'm thinking of is 2 things. I want to make sure we're on the same page with this too. I'm talking about adding intermission just to the long movies.
I get that.
Okay, cool.
And I'm talking about the same thing.
Like
if the movie starts at 7,
right,
and it's a 3-hour movie, it's going to end at 10 o'clock as it is. Sure. After trailers, you're already talking about leaving the theater at 10:30. Add another intermission on that, it's going to be almost 11. If it's a slightly longer movie like Avengers, right. 11:30. But that's a long ass time.
Here's the other thing I could say, and this is where I'm coming from my other world, my other experience. Place and theatrical performances that are live have an intermission built into them. If part of your brain goes, well, obviously part of that is to give the actors a chance to rest or them to do some set changes. So that's why those things are built into there. No, actors don't need a break when they're performing a play. It's nice, but like we can go on we'll be fine. And set changes, again, those normally happen while the show is going on, and people have gotten really clever with them. So, no, we have intermissions within theatrical performances because we want to tell a story longer than a movie can, right? And you need a break, so that way you can pee, you can go get a drink, and you can actually go ahead and, get a little more relaxed before the second half of this comes. And you can build it. I mean, plays are designed to have an intermission right before or right after, like, the climax is about to happen. So I don't think it would even disrupt the flow in which you're telling the story. And yes, you're absolutely right, Brian. A few people will be turned off from going to a long movie. But I got to be honest, you look at a 3-hour runtime right now at Avengers, and if you're not a Marvel person or you look at the runtime of it in 2:45, if you look at that and you're dissuaded by the runtime, there's no helping you for that. There was nothing that was going to make things a little bit better for you.
I've got 2.87 billion reasons to tell you why you're wrong.
Now, again, Avengers.
No, because we're using this as the mold because it is a very long movie.
Before you say,
and the fact, no.
Before you throw Avengers money at me, which again, huge one. Please, we can't use that. Look at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. One of Quentin Tarantino's very successful, maybe most successful movies ever put out.
It's actually his most successful movie.
Okay, great.
At its most successful opening weekend.
Fantastic.
Uh-huh.
And most of those people, honestly, were not Quentin Tarantino fans that saw that movie on the opening weekend. They were drawn.
They were Leonardo DiCaprio fans.
Absolutely.
Fine.
Do you think those people, and again, I know you didn't see the movie, do you think they would have gone if there was a 20 minute, 10 minute, I'd pick a number, 15, we'll split the difference. 15-minute intermission. If we added 15 minutes to that movie, which would take it towards endgame time, do you think we would have lost as much sales and would have Tarantino lost his most successul movie?
Hang on, your question is confusing me. So you're asking me
if I added 15 minutes to the runtime. If you added
15 minutes, I still think that movie would have been as successful as it was.
Okay,
here's the deal, dude.
Can I come right back? I have to do something real quick.
Fine. Just interrupt my thought. Are you literally going to take an intermission on our podcast? Because that's bullshit. Trying to prove a point by doing an intermission in the middle of our segment.
Carry on.
No, and I don't think it would have affected it at all. Here's the thing. It takes a lot for anybody to go to the theater anymore. In today, I don't think you're thinking of the landscape as a whole right now. We talked about this a little bit when we were talking about The Irishman. Why the hell would I invest so much time and possibly extra money to go see a movie because of these big three actors when I can stream it at home? And that's what you have to take into account is if I'm going to a theater, period, it's because I want to see it. I need to see it in the theater for some reason. Whoever is seeing Once Upon a Time in Mexico because of any other reason besides it's a Quentin Tarantino movie would still go see it, regardless of the runtime.
Right.
How they feel about it when they leave the theater might vary, but they're still going to go see it. My point is, those people who are on the fence about seeing a movie like Avengers for the second or third time, which, let's face it, that's why it made that much money.
Right, yes.
Or even seeing a movie like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I gotta be honest with you, I love Quentin Tarantino. The reason I haven't seen it yet is because of how long it is. And adding more time to it does not help the scenario. You are going to lose more people than you would gain in any extra concession sales that you might get during that 15, 20 minutes. It doesn't make like the experience any better. If you don't have to pee during that intermission, you're just sitting there and be like, oh, I want to finish the movie. Movies are not like plays. Think about the last time you went to see a Broadway play. Mm-hmm. You spent the entire day doing it. It wasn't we're going to go see.
It was also an 8-hour endeavor. Like seriously, the play was 8 hours.
Right. But my point is, like,
4.
You block out your entire afternoon or evening or whatever the case may be. You make a whole thing of it. It's still a big to do because it's a play. It's Broadway, right? You're not going to see some high school production. You're going to see a legitimate, professionally put on play.
But even
movies come around that you get 3 to 4 movie releases every week, mm-hmm. and hundreds and hundreds every year. The landscape is just, there's so much content out there. Why would I waste an entire chunk of my day to go see a movie that could possibly be 4 to 4.5 hours, depending on the length, and trailers and intermissions and all this other stuff, that plus travel time to get to said theater if you don't live close by to one? Why would I do all that when I got all of this content at my fingertips? And if I wait 4 to 6 months, it's going to be on Blu-ray. That's what the average person is thinking. And let's face it, movie theaters don't make money because of huge, giant movie nerds like you and I.
Right.
They make money off of average Joe, yes, who is, hey, you know what? We have the afternoon free. What do you want to do? Let's go see a movie. That's what they're making money off of. And those are the people you're going to turn away by adding runtime to it.
The only other thing I can think of, the thing that I think we both do not want to happen, right, is a movie that deserves the long time to tell the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just going to say, hey, listen, man, nowadays people are overloaded with content. It's at their fingertips. Going to the movies, it's a chore already as it is. You're giving me a runtime of 2:45? Piss off, right? Get out of here. It's not happening. If Kevin Smith decided that he wanted Jay and Silent Bob reboot to be 2:45, no studio in the world would say yes to that, right?
I'll fund that. No problem.
You will, but like I know you will, but no studio is going to give him money. Saban is not going to give him a budget, right? They're going to say, cut some pages, let it go. Do you think, though, that if these long movies or movies that are out there that should be long, right, are being told you're too long, would you rather have a movie that is now truncated to 90 minutes or have the intermission? I'm making you choose something that's terrible no matter what. But of those two, if a studio says either cut the time and cut your story, or hey, you got to put an intermission on it, which one would you, Brian Thornton, not the average moviegoer? I want to hear those people from our listeners later. What would you pick out of those two scenarios?
I honestly think that a lot of movies can get what they need to get done in an hour 40. An hour 40 to 2 hours.
So would you rather? So let's take Endgame then.
Now, okay, go. I knew I was going to say that, and I knew you were going to fucking throw Endgame out.
What are you going to do? Would you like a 3-hour Endgame?
That's a different animal.
I know. Would you? I know
it is a different animal.
I'm making a Sophie's Choice. I understand.
No, you're not making a Sophie's Choice. You're making a completely ridiculous choice.
Would you rather have a 90-minute
based on what you know about me personally?
Would you rather have a 90-minute?
You know the answer to this question, CJ.
Endgame or an intermission with your 3-hour Endgame?
I'll take the fucking intermission. Go screw yourself.
I understand where you're coming from, Brian.
You're a dick.
Do. But I was having my experience of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood going, I have to pee. I ran out of soda. I could really use a refresh of popcorn.
But here's the thing.
Why are they in Italy? I don't understand this. This is too long.
Your exact words were, you could have shaved off 20 minutes and the movie would have been good. That's the problem. There are certain movies. There are certain movies, Endgame being one of them, that require that 3-hour runtime.
I agree.
There are certain movies that need that time to tell the story, and I will gladly give it to them. My point. Most movies who are pushing for that 2.5, 2:45, 3 hours runtime sometimes, a lot of them can get what they need to get done in 2. That's the thing.
I agree.
And like, the problem is too many studios are giving a little bit too much freedom to, instead of kind of saying, you do need to hamstring. Like, some of these people need to be told no. Because as a creator, CJ, you can attest to having too much freedom ultimately being a bad thing.
Right.
And you need that outside perspective to say, you've got too much here, lose it. I think that all of our problems are solved in this scenario if people would just figure out how to tell the same story with 20 minutes less time. I love Quentin Tarantino. The overarching criticism of this movie is that it is too long. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing that's what happens when you give Quentin Tarantino, here's a bunch of money, go do whatever you want to do. And he just does. And no one is there to say, no, you can't do that.
So listeners,
that's the problem.
Listeners, we obviously have some feelings about this. So I'd like to turn it to you, and I'd like to get your perspective on this topic here, and just kind of hear what you're thinking based on what we're saying. So find us on social, at That Kind of Nerd, at That Kind of Nerd Podcast on Instagram, and tell us what you think about adding an intermission to movies that are of a lengthy runtime. Before we get into the next topic, Jimmy, will you do that thing, please? It's always good. Before we get into the next topic, we just want to say that your support of the show is what keeps us going every single week. And if you want to support the show and get exclusive content, become a member of our Patreon. Benefits start at just $5, and it will earn you a shout out on this show. We got some great stuff coming down the pike for you soon. So go to patreon.com/thatkindofnerd. Join up and get yourself exclusive content. All right, Jimmy, on to the next topic. Since we talked about a lot of content being available to customers and how much of it there is and how much time people are devoting to this, I think right now what we need to do is put on our jungle attire, grab a machete, because we, Brian, you and I need to go exploring the Amazon. The reason I bring this up is that Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, right? They have a season coming out too. Apparently going to have a, quote, huge episode count. And
how many?
Hold on. Now, hold your horses.
Just pull the Band-Aid off, man.
So the first season is going to have 20 episodes. Now, Brian,
Yes.
before you school me, let me just explain why this is why is this a news item? Netflix has made the standard for a while now, 13 episodes with a season. Maybe even cutting back to 8 or 10. 20 sounds more like a network run and a network season than it does a streaming season. This isn't solid. This isn't done yet. They still aren't filming. They need to decide how many episodes they want to do and how the story ends before they start making it. But what do you think of a streaming service like Amazon doing 20 episodes of a season of Lord of the Rings?
I feel fine.
You'd be down for that? Are you telling me
Are
you're
they
going to
20-hour long? Are they 20-hour long?
20-hour, from what we can tell, again, blah, 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 blah. Yes, 20-hour long. 20 hours for a season.
I watched, listen, okay, first and foremost, my list, forget about my list aside. I've watched 23 hour long, 45-minute long episodes, for network television. I don't see any problem with the episode count. I'm thinking more from a producing standpoint of, hey, listen, we know we're going to get people to watch this show. Why don't we cut this in half and do 2 10-episode seasons and drag this out a little bit longer? I don't know why they wouldn't do that, because let's be real, it's 4 books and some ancillary material that's not really fleshed out. How many seasons, if they keep doing 20-episode seasons, do you really think you're going to get out of that?
Yeah. I mean,
even if you include everything in the books, it sounds like 20 seasons is at least Fellowship. That's at least one book.
You just say 20 seasons?
20 episodes.
Okay, good. Whew.
If I said 20 seasons, I misspoke.
That's okay.
But that seems like it's Fellowship,
Right.
So I'm thinking for long term, hey, I want to get 6 or 7 seasons out of this. Why don't I do 10-episode seasons? Each book is cut in half or maybe thirds, and I could probably get 7 to 10 seasons.
Do you know what you could do? I mean, to really maximize the potential and really kind of pull your audience in. There was a show that had a really great strategy. Maybe you do 6 seasons in a movie. I don't see why that wouldn't work.
I mean, I think it would probably not work in this case, being as we already have 6 movies and, 4 of them are good.
So we're doing 6 movies and a TV show. Oh, okay. We're kind of flipping the script there a little bit. Right.
Yeah, true. There you go.
All right.
And I know you're saying to yourself, well, obviously the original 3 are one of the 4. What's the 4th one, Brian? Which Hobbit movie do you actually enjoy? I'm going to let you think about that, and I'll reveal that next week.
Oh, you're going to remember that? Really?
No, it's Desolation of Smaug.
Oh, okay.
That one's the actual good Hobbit one.
Okay, the rest of them are garbage. All right.
It's not garbage.
It is now time for my favorite hobby, where I go around the internet, I find the weird, I find the obscure, and then I ask this gentleman here for his tech perspective. Brian, as you know, I'm a little bit of a Nintendo purist. I still have a working NES and Nintendo 64 and a GameCube and I think I still have a Wii floating around. I like it, and I watch it on my big TV, but there's one problem with the N64. It wasn't made for 2019. It wasn't made for HDMI. It wasn't made for high definition, Brian. It was 420p, maybe 240i, depending on what you're doing. It doesn't really look good on modern TVs, correct?
Yeah, but you know what always will look good? Me kicking your ass at Super Smash Brothers.
A rematch is coming, sir.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
So what if I told you that there was a product called Super 64? And what it did was it makes your N64 look way better on an HD TV. Yeah, but that would sound like something you would want, right, Brian?
Like I plug it into my original...
Like you plug it into your original N64, and it's now an HDMI adapter to it.
I mean, I would be interested, but I would wonder what the catch is.
Well, what if I told you that the catch is the cost? How much would you pay for such a product, Brian? Realistically, what would you pay for an HDMI capability on an N64?
Is it legit just an adapter?
It's just an adapter. You can see it in the show notes if you need to. Just tiny little thing.
I don't want to open the show notes because I'm afraid I'll see a price. But
you won't by looking at the picture. I'll tell you that much.
Knowing how much these adapters normally go for.
Uh-huh.
Because we both worked in this industry
for
a while.
Yes.
I would say reasonable cost. I would even push it to $50, $60, but I want to say the actual cost is like over $100.
So I agree with you. If this was $50 or $60, I would own
Totally
one
worth it.
right now.
Yeah.
I would put the little cha-ching sound in this podcast. Me, cheap CJ, would buy this for $50.
It would totally be
$60.
worth it if it was $50, $60.
Well, Brian, it's not that cheap. The
How
Super
much?
64 retails for $149.99. Now, to put that in
That's
some goddamn
fracking
perspective,
ridiculous.
people, to put that into some goddamn perspective, you could buy a gently used Nintendo 64 and 2 games like Super Mario Bros. And maybe, I don't know, Mario Kart, right? For that exact same cost. This is ridiculous. How
That's
dare
ridiculous.
you, sir, try to tell me I had to spend $150 on a chunky red LED little thing that plugs into my Nintendo.
Oh, now I'm
64.
going to pull up the picture because you described it as chunky. Oh, that thing is ugly.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Go check your show notes
It's ugly. Where are you plugging it? You plugging it into the
Into
back?
the back where
Okay,
the
I got
where the
you.
weird
Where the weird port
composite
is.
was.
I got you.
Yeah. If you didn't think for one
You
second,
know,
I was like,
where 80 of that dollars is going?
the light.
The little LED light in
Right.
there. That's
This is
exactly where 80 of
ridiculous.
that money is going.
Someone undercut them immediately on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. If you got, I'll go as high as 50. That's it. I'm too cheap. I was gonna say 60, but
I'm not even saying
really
you're
can't
too
justify
cheap.
that.
Like, I mean, $60 is absolutely reasonable for an adapter like that. I mean, there's plenty of adapters that go from component
to HDMI.
to HDMI,
Yep.
and that is the going
Dude,
rate.
I mean, honestly, if you are really into the Nintendo, the NES, right? You could buy an NES Mini, NES Classic, right, for less than $149. It's a whole console with a whole bunch of games.
You could actually buy an NES Classic and a Super NES Classic for
I
$20
think you
more.
you and Josh bought a PlayStation Mini and like 300 games
for that cost.
for the same
Yeah.
cost. This is stupid.
Yeah.
This is
You did.
ridiculous.
For that exact same cost, that's actually true.
Right?
That's insane.
I'm sorry. I saw this. I got very excited, and then I got just the shit
Then you
slapped
got
out of me.
angry. It looks like you got angry. which is
Anyway,
it's funny.
how dare you, sirs? How dare you, company? All right, our final topic here comes back to a listener question that we got last week from Chip, where Chip said, "Hey, really interested in hearing what your kind of suggestions are for streaming services. There's so much content out there. There's so much. Help me
Yeah,
find
and-
something good to watch."
Chip, I gotta tell you, I scoured all the internets. I highly recommend the app. RedTube has a lot of really great
Don't do that.
content.
No.
And we're going. No, not that.
Not that one.
Oh,
No,
okay.
the streaming services like Hulu, Netflix,
Oh,
Amazon,
those?
HBO. Yeah,
Oh.
the big four.
Man,
Yeah.
I did the wrong research.
Yeah, there's not a whole. You put a whole lot of hope in here, actually, as your only entry.
I did. I thought it was a good pick.
No, we need more.
I mean, the acting on that other is pretty bad.
All right, so let's start off with Hulu. This is my suggestion for this week. I'm going to start you off with a series that actually Brian's dad, Papa Thornton, recommended to me. And I am not a James Franco fan. I'm not. But the work in 11/22/63 is just fantastic. It is a fan. I mean, it handles time travel so well. The story is super engaging. You don't know how it's going to end. And the ending that you get, I'm pretty satisfied with. I heard there is a second season coming. I don't know how, but I'm all for it. Please go watch 11/22/63. I think it's pretty freaking great. Brian?
Sure. I'm as far as something that's available on Hulu. I'm gonna talk about a little show that's it's on ABC. It's still running. It's called The Goldbergs, and I actually recommended this show to CJ, and CJ also enjoys it. Chip, if you enjoy our show and listening to our stupidity, you'll enjoy The Goldbergs. And the reason I say that is there's a lot of the things that we talk about and that we love, all the like old nostalgia, television shows and toys and Transformers and movies and stuff. This show does a lot with that. It takes place over sometime in the 80s, 1980 something is the running joke of this show. And it just follows a family who is growing up in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania. And the main character is the young son Adam, who is just kind of telling his story about his family growing up, and there's a lot of really your normal sitcom jokes, but it's wrapped in this just kind of heartwarming, nostalgic humor. If you have any appreciation for the things of the 80s and just good sitcoms in general, this is a great one. I love this show. I think CJ loves this show too.
I'm a JTP member for life.
JTP.
All right, so the next one that we have is Netflix, and listen, I'm gonna take a departure here from the normal stuff I recommend. You need to stop what you're doing right now and watch Ugly Delicious on Netflix. I'm a big fan of food documentaries. I'm a big fan of kind of seeing cooking shows. Ugly Delicious takes it to a whole nother level and really just connects you to food in a way that I haven't seen done in many other documentaries and other shows like this. It's actually very emotionally moving. The more you watch it, you get really invested into it. Very odd. I had a very strong reaction to the pizza episode, as that sounds like. It sounds crazy. Got very emotional watching the pizza episode of Ugly Delicious. I think it's fantastic. Highly recommend it. Ugly Delicious on Netflix.
Okay. Well, I have not seen that. I will have to watch it. But I will say another thing that if you're not watching it, you should. We mentioned it at the top of the show. You should be watching Queer Eye. Queer Eye is what would you describe it as, CG? Like a self-help show almost?
Yeah, I would kind of put it in the realm of self-help, but I also just think it's a great way to see life through other people's perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the gay perspective. You really kind of see it through all walks of life.
Through all the people that they help. Like it's just, these 5 men who go to people who, are I wouldn't say they're like, losers or anything, but maybe they're struggling.
They just need some help. They just need someone
to push
help.
Them. They need like a little push in the right direction. And sometimes that's as simple as let's update your wardrobe. Let's make you look the way you should feel type of thing. Like, let's give you that, new haircut. And sometimes that does a lot. And just watching these people kind of like transform and open up. And like, I gotta tell you, like we're watching the 4th season right now. This is the only show I legit every episode I get a little emotional.
I think that
every single episode.
I think the thing that really hits with that show too is that it's not about the exterior. It's more than a makeover, and that's the tagline of this. Of this season.
More than a makeover. Yeah,
they really kind of. So sometimes people do need a new wardrobe, a new haircut, but also maybe they just need someone to fix their home for them or give something back to their community that they're not able to do, but they really want to.
Or just talk.
Yeah. I seriously, I really get it. And I understand that we have a lot of different, political leanings. And I don't think this does anything to really hit you over the head. So I think no matter where you are, it's really great. So I know Josh is a gigantic fan.
Josh is actually who turned me on to this show at first. And then I wasn't even going to watch it. It was the one thing I was like, no, you know what, Josh, I don't need to watch that stuff. I'm not into that kind of reality like type of show. And then I started watching it with my fiance.
Fiance.
Yep, there it is. And this legit like gets me emotional. Like every single episode, like we'll be watching it, and she'll look at me and she's like, "Are you getting little?" I'm like, "Yeah, fine. I'm fine.
I'm good.
I'm fine. I'm good."
Those sisters just finally have a better place for their barbecue work.
Oh my gosh, that episode was great.
It's a really good episode. Go watch it. It's really good. Let's move on to Amazon. I'm directing this straight at Brian. Brian, watch Jack Ryan. I don't want to hear any more shit about you not watching this beautiful work that John Krasinski is doing on Amazon. Everybody else has watched it. Everybody else has watched it, Brian. Chips, watch this. Go watch Jack Ryan.
I do love me some John Krasinski. I definitely will have to. But I will also recommend, if you've never seen the show, Chuck. Last time I checked, it was still available to stream on Amazon, but it is one of those NBC shows that could disappear at any moment. So,
like it was when it was on television. Yes.
Don't get me started on how much Chip, this show was robbed when it was on television. It was actively that you were trying to cancel it. And it went on for 5 seasons because of how good it is and how extreme the fan base was around it. This show is amazing. It has got everything. It has got action. It has got humor. It's got, the romance and the emotional beats in it. The show is fantastic. And you're going to say, really? As soon as I tell you what the topic is, but I just need you to go and watch this. This show is fun. It is about a man named Chuck Bartowski, down on his luck. He dropped out of Stanford. He's now working at an IT desk in a big box retail store called the Nerd Herd. And one day he gets an email from an old college roommate, and it turns out this college roommate and friend is working for the CIA, and sends him an encrypted file of all of this information and government secrets that gets downloaded into his brain. And now every time he sees or hears particular things, it triggers confidential information. And it's all about this just average Joe guy getting thrusted into this spy world. And it is so much fun. And it is intense, and it is amazing, and I just need you to watch it. I recommended the show to everybody, and everybody loves it.
On the HBO front, my list was a little shorter, but one thing that I really did want to kind of let people know about, because I think it really flew under the radar if you weren't paying attention back in 2008, is the miniseries of John Adams. I love history. I think it's fantastic. I obviously got really sucked into Hamilton, and I've been reading books about the founding of our nation. It's really great. But the story of John Adams, I think, really kind of gets lost. He's the second president of the United States, but his story is remarkable. And it's done with phenomenal acting by Paul Giamatti, who normally is just a bit character actor in most of the stuff that he does. But he just is a sensational actor and does such a great job in the show. So find out a little bit more about the founding of our own country, but also just see some great performances and some great, real, accurate, gritty history. Watch John Adams on HBO.
Listener, my HBO show is it's still on the air. It just wrapped its second season, and I'm recommending it because I recently just discovered it and binged 2 entire seasons of this show. It's called Barry. It got, I think it flew under the radar a little bit because it premiered right after Game of Thrones for the past 2 years. And now that people, right, and it's a little bit overshadowed, but now that Game of Thrones is over, people are searching for something to kind of fill that hole. This is that show. And the nice thing is it's half hour, so it's not a huge time suck, but it is funny. It stars Bill Hader as an ex-army turned hitman. Yeah. And he's clearly not happy with his life, but he does it because he's good at it. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances that has led him down this path. And it's one of those shows that like he keeps trying to get out of the life, and he keeps somehow finding his way more and more entangled in that life. At the same time, he has discovered a passion for acting, and he's trying to become an actor.
I love this so much.
He's attending classes that are being taught by Henry Winkler, who is amazing in it.
Does he play Henry Winkler? I haven't watched the show.
No, he doesn't.
I would have loved the meta-ness if that was true.
No, he doesn't. He plays a character. His last name's Cousineau. I can't remember his first name. But it's a fantastic show because it's another one of those shows that's got a lot of things in it. There's a whole very deep and kind of intense storyline when it comes to his hitman life, but all of the stuff revolving around his acting is so funny sometimes. And just like seeing this guy like try and fail so many times at doing this thing, it's really heartwarming. It's a wonderful show. It's hilarious. Totally watch it.
So, listeners, those are our suggestions for this week for the 4 major streaming services. If you didn't catch all of that, don't worry. Go check out the lovely show notes right there in your podcast app, or go to our Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. I will have it posted for you first thing on Monday morning. All right, listener, thank you so much for listening this week. Again, you've got homework, like I said at the top of the show. I need you to share this show with a friend. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes and make sure that you are subscribed, because sharing this show is the ultimate internet currency, and we thank you for your donation. Thank you so much for making us your walk around your neighborhood or your drive to work, and we'll see you next week.
Well, welcome to the club, because you are that kind of nerd.
My favorite thing about that show is every episode at some point going, what the fuck is Jonathan wearing, and how is he pulling it off? Because it's great.
Because it looks wonderful.
He looks fantastic. He was wearing this like sheer lacy top, and my wife goes, he looks so good in that. And I couldn't pull it off. I was like, yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know. It is a mystery that can only be uncovered by...
Yeah, I want to hear the end of that one. Go ahead. What can it be uncovered by?
I don't have it.
Yeah, I figured
that's how much of a mystery it is. No one can uncover it.
It's like
it's a Rubik's Cube trapped in an enigma.
It's like, why is the bar called Puzzles? Because that's the puzzle.
Because that is the puzzle, yeah.
Well, let's do what we do every week and put the show on the road.
Well, now you got me thinking about Queer Eye.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
I mean, yeah. Go for it. Chicken parm, you taste so good.
Like the
What's
dragon.
toothless?
Well, I said it wouldn't be teethless hard, and then I realized that it should
It
be
would
toothless.
be toothless, yes. Toothless.
Slenderer? Slenderer.
More
Slender. There you go. All right, another... Okay. Because I just lost the number because the webpage crashed, so hold on there. Let me just...
Why are you doing your Jeff Bridges ham sandwich?
I just say ham.